Hi and good evening. I welcome you all to the last masterclass of the pre-MVP track of All India Tech Challenge and Masterclass Series 2021-2022. This initiative is being supported by AWS Start and with Niti Aayog Atal Innovation Mission as the ecosystem partner. Today we'll be discussing about an interesting topic which is about pitching and storytelling. And today we have with us one of the most sought after mentors, Mr. Ajay Jain. So just to give you a brief about Mr. Ajay Jain, he has approximately 2 decades of experience in the startup ecosystem. He is the principal co-founder at Triple IT Seed Fund. He's a principal co-founder with Exceed Partners, and currently he's as a panelist at VCTV Latokia. Mr. Ajay Jain, thank you so much for coming and please welcome to the workshop.
Thanks, Karan. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. A bit about my background that was missed was that post my MBA from Indian School of Business, I was in the education sector for about 5 years. I was first with educational initiatives. I assume many of you know educational initiatives. If you don't, uh, it is a diagnostic testing for students, and they have adaptive learning as one of their key factors. Then I went and co-founded Grey Matters. Grey Matters India, we were doing student assessments. Our whole idea was school assessments. So the idea of gradeschools.org in the West. So that was the idea. But we realized, and this was for affordable private schools, but we realized that doesn't work well in this space because of government does not have those regulations, and hence we moved to student assessments as a key. I work closely with Australian Council for Educational Research. They are the PISA partners of the world for this specific initiative, and we raised funds from Michael Suzanne Dell Foundation en route. Right, that's when I moved ahead from education. I have invested in about 30 odd early stage startups, not only education, but across the board. I continue to invest and mentor startups in education, but mostly tech enabled startups, even with deep technology. Right. So that is my background. With that, let me jump into this. I would like to keep this session interactive because you would get maximum out of it if you interact with me during the session. I would like to understand your specific questions around pitching, around the storytelling path. So happy to take questions as we go along. You can put it in the chat or raise your hand. I assume I could see most of them. And we can discuss. So let me start with a presentation that I have. But as I said, more than the presentation, it is the interaction that will help. I'll give you basic guidelines of what an investor is looking for in your pitch deck. And then we can discuss one or two examples from your specific cases to understand how you could get it right. All right, most of my pictures or most of my presentation start with the Dilbert joke, just to ease the situation, might be to get people, into the groove, right? And business wise, they are usually interesting. So PowerPoint is one of the things I clearly tell people is during presentations, don't cram it up. Anyone has the ability only to look at 2 or 3 points per slide, right? You shouldn't increase the number of points you're trying to make in any PowerPoint, right? In a single slide. Keep it, make sure you're giving impact on the 3 points you want to get it across, because I, as an investor, after the deck, should remember those 3 points, right? I know it is difficult. You will say, oh, look, you're doing so many things, awesome. But that's not what it is. The thing is, I, as a person, audience, have the ability to look at some points and retain them. I cannot retain all of them, right? So make sure you do not cram up a deck. Oh, I think I have some examples, and these are taken from the net. So, Airbnb, very famous. Obviously, the timing is the reason why it has been so successful. But still, if you see how simple and succinct the deck is, right? And how to the point they are making. They are clearly stating the problem, right? Very simple 3 points, right? They're not giving you a lot of things to take home, right? And then the solution, again to the point,
Right.
right? So then they're talking about the market validation, getting into where the investors want to know how are you doing, right? Obviously, you raise money with seasoned investors or qualified investors once you have something to prove, right? So they're saying how they're doing, right? And this is what is the market validation. They're talking about the market sizing, the TAM, the SOM, if I may,
Right.
right? And see the clarity in the entire presentation. There's nothing else, right? It clearly tells you in their mind. The most important part it tells you is in their mind, they're clear what they want to convey, right? That is the most important thing. If I, as a presenter, I'm clear, look, this is my USP, or this is where I think the investors will be interested in, I'll share that. I have seen hundreds of decks. I see almost 10 decks a week. I've seen hundreds of decks which cram it up, which give me all details that I'm not interested in. If I'm interested in, I'll ask. Remember, a CV or a deck is something that it is like you opening a door, right? You want them to come in and talk to you further. You do not want to tell them everything at one go. You want them to be interested in your presentation. You want to be interested in your startup. You want a follow-up meeting. No investor, mostly, even in the Shark Tank situation, it's a little different, will write a check upfront, right? Will write a check based on your presentation. And a seasoned investor will ask you more questions, will understand better. So you want this presentation is for you to get the next meeting. That is all it is for. Remember that. It is not for you to get a check signed. I hope you guys appreciate the difference. So again, they're talking about the product, right? Searching, how do you do it, etc. And what is their business model? So how much is their average fee, and hence what is the total revenue they'll make? Just a simple commission model, right? You can argue, oh, for them it's easy, given that they're a simple bread and breakfast kind of a setup. That's not what it is. It is, the fact is they are clear in their mind what they want to do, right? And they're talking about what is happening in the adoption market and how they can really gain traction. The competition slide, this is very important. I think everyone should have such a slide. And again, they're suggesting the 4 metrics, which is very popular these days on the competition, that they are high on online transaction and affordability, while someone like Craigslist or someone like hotels.com is expensive, though they are online. So they're talking about their competitive advantages. Here might be the first place where they have more than 1 point or 3 points. But again, it's well laid out, clear and to the point, right? And this is, I think, just the ad. So coming back to, let me share back to my presentation. Okay, so there are others, but I would not go over them. As I said, I would like you to share your thoughts, right? And we'll spend some time on that. So remember that a pitch is critical for the founder, right? And it's an involved task. It is a task which makes you dig deeper and ask you questions like, why are you really doing this startup? What is it that differentiates the startup with others? So what does this startup do that is different from others? Why would someone invest in you, right? So this is something that is, let's say, soul searching in some sense, right? You really have to dig deep to answer these questions, right? And you have to find the right questions as well. Important point is, during these times you have to talk to mentors or friends who are unbiased, right? Because it's very easy to hear that, oh, this is great, this is looking nice, etc. That is not the truth. You want critical people. You want people who can tell the truth very openly on your face, right? Most friends might not be able to do that, right? And as I said, the pitch should be something which is opening a door, which is ensuring you get the next meeting, right? It is like a resume. It's not with a CV. I will never give a person a job. The same way with a pitch, you wouldn't get a check, you would get the next meeting. Okay. So some of the questions that you can ask, right, which will help you get the pitch right, right? Why are you doing this, right? One important question is, what prompts you to do something in this space or in this particular segment or in this startup, right? The question is because I, as an investor, want to understand why are you really into it, right? Now, if you tell me you're into it for making money, it is fine, but that's not a great answer, because yes, you are into it for making money, but what is important is kind of the passion, kind of the reasoning behind why are you into it, right? Second question is, are you capable? Now, the question can be answered in more than one ways. I'm not suggesting that a person who has not been in the education sector cannot do a good job in the education sector. But why would you be able to do a good job in the education sector, right? What would you learn, or what do you have in you that will make it easy for you to do a good job? Definitely ask a question about the market, right? This is one place where many startups really fail. Right now, it's not easy to define a market, but you need to define one. Otherwise, you might be making the best product out there, it wouldn't sell, right? And that brings me to the next question: is, are there willing customers to pay? And do you have a rough idea what will they pay for it? It need not be a specific, it need not be an accurate answer. That can be uh, generated through data that you accumulate through your sales, right? What is your USP? Now, this is again an important question. USP can be a lot, right? USP can be saying that, look, I have partnership with IKEA, so I have such a big market. USP can be saying that, look, I have the first movers advantage, and I have already captured 30% of the market. USP can be saying, look, I have $10 million in my bank, and hence, very difficult for someone to easily come and uh, unhook me. Obviously, the stronger USPs are the ones which says, okay, I have a product, I have an IP, etc. Finally, you will have to ask, who are your competitors? Now, this question, I have heard many people say, oh, look, I don't have competitors. Firstly, in education space, anyone who's trying to get money from the student, or if, let's say, I as a parent have allocated 10,000 rupees for my child, for her education, for her tuitions, whatever. the share of the wallet is what we are talking about, right? So if there is someone else taking 2,000 rupees out of that 10,000, they are my competitors, right? So that's why we talk about competitors or substitutes. Very rarely would you find product, or very rarely would you find um, a solution which does not have a competitor or a substitute. Okay, so my suggestion would be to write down these points. I suggest people do it over paper, pen and paper, not, or at least in a Word document, not in a PPT. Because a PPT makes you feel like you want to start filling in a deck. That is not what it is. You need to create a story. You need to write down, okay, this is where I started, this is what I'm doing, this is why I'm better, these are my competitors, this is how I would capture the market, this is my market sizing, etc. And then try to tell it to someone in a minute, right? Will it, like the main idea, can it be conveyed in a minute, right? And then translate this into a presentation. Okay, so that's how I would do it. Do not get into a presentation mode upfront. Some do's and don'ts that I've said of a deck, right? Again, try not to have too much text. I've seen a lot of people use a lot of text over the presentation. It doesn't sell, it doesn't help anything. Animations, etc. are a no-no. Do not have things flying by, etc. I would suggest 15 slides is where you should be. If you really have to stretch it, 20, but keep things in the backup slides if you really have. 15 is good enough to convey most things that you have to. This is a standard deck format. Nothing great about it. What is the problem? How is the solution? What's the target market? Business model, again, is something that I have seen many people do not do a good job at, right? Remember one thing, right? Let's say I have a product. I still need to tell how am I selling it? How will it reach my end consumer, right? And how will it make money on the way? Now, that is something where many people do not do a good job, right? I've seen that, again, a lot of slides where business model is really non-existent, right? Should keep asking the question and you'll get the right answers. Market sizing at times is a tricky problem. That is fine. You need to broadly suggest who are your target consumers, right? Whom would you target first? Whom would you target second? Who will be the early adopters? Who will be the the secondary adopters or the laggards, etc. Why is it that your solution will be used, right? And always have a correlation between the problem and the solution. I have seen slides where there is a problem, but the solution doesn't seem to fix the problem, right? There is where the story is saying, look, I faced this problem, but I have devised this solution, which is not necessarily addressing the problem one-on-one, right? So I would, simply put, this is the thing. Obviously, you need to mention who is the team, right? And anyone else, advisors, etc. That really adds to the strength. Why would you be able to do it, right? So that's what I think. These are some of the other points that I had missed. So one is, how would you go to the market? How will you take the product to the market? Why is your team the best? Why would you keep it? Why would you be able to pull it off? What is your so far revenue or pilots that you have done? And what do you see in the future, right? From all the three perspectives, from product perspective, from a sales perspective, and also your infrastructure, technology, etc. One important thing is to have an ask. Usually in a very serious investor deck, you need to have an ask. You need to say, look, I need 1 crore for so much equity. If you don't want to do that, at least you say, I need 1 crore. This is where it will be spent. right? 30% in marketing, 30% in technology, and 30% in team building, right? And then just have a quick short summary to ensure that they leave with the right information that you want them to give. Okay. All right. Some other points that can be helpful is add customer testimonies wherever possible. Videos can be helpful, but small videos, do not extend it beyond a minute. And always remember, more is less. So do not try to cram it up. Okay. All right. That's from my end. What I would like to suggest is, if you guys have you know something to ask, share, etc., I will be happy to look at one of your decks if need be and give inputs. So anyone who wants to volunteer and go ahead, that might be a good exercise. Before that, if you have any questions on what I presented, I'm happy to answer that as well.
Good
Hello.
afternoon, Mr. Jain. This is Prem Prasad here.
Hi, Mr. Prem Prasad.
Hello, sir. Thanks a lot for a very insightful and excellent presentation. I just have one doubt: how important it is for a very early stage company to start out with some traction, but without a team. To be able to, uh, you know, how viable it is for them to raise funds, because I don't really have a team, but I do have. I'm gaining some traction now.
Okay. Okay, good question.
Yeah.
See, one thing is, I as an investor will never invest in a company which do not have founder, at least, which do not have a full-time founder.
Yeah.
If you tell me, look, I'm still working in an organization, as soon as this picks up or as soon as I raise money, I'll quit and I'll do this, I, as an investor, will say, I'm sorry. Okay. Now coming to your other part, which is the team part, right? Now it completely depends on the solution or the product that you're talking about. But if you're showing traction, and even if you can show part-time people with interns, etc.
Yeah, I have interns.
Yeah, so that is good enough for me as a starting point, right? And we are talking about small monies here, right? I mean, once you cross a 1 crore barrier, the discussions are very different, right? But small monies, especially there are many incubators, etc., also supporting it. I think that should be okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
Hello, Ajay. I have one question.
Sure.
I hope you can hear me.
Yes.
So, the problem statement which I am trying to solve is a very big problem statement, and that requires a huge ecosystem built around it, right? So, in that kind of a scenario, what should be my pitch? Like, should I be talking to the end goal, the bigger vision, or the immediate,
Okay.
action?
Okay, I got it. So I think, Uttam, my sincere and strong suggestion, right? No large organization or no successful startup has started with a big question to solve, right? Be it Amazon, be it Facebook, be it Twitter, whatever, right? No one started their journey saying, look, I want to solve the world problems. Okay, I don't know your specific solution, but my suggestion is to solve a part of the problem. And then go deeper. See, that is where it is important to pinpoint what is the main problem or what is the problem that will make you successful. If it is Amazon shipping books, that is what made them successful, right? As simple as that. After which, whatever happened is because of a lot of reasons, right? But today, if I were to tell you, okay, look, you have limited money, you have limited people, you have basically limited resources, right? Unless Elon Musk comes to you, you will have to say, look, I'll have to solve a part of the problem. right? So my sincere suggestion to all founders: do not try to suggest that you're solving a large problem. That's a recipe for disaster. I'm a straight shooter, so take me as that. If you get discouraged, I'm sorry about that, but I just like to be honest about it, because I've seen a lot of people fail, or not do justice to what they could achieve because of this issue of solving a lot. Uttam, I hope I answered your
Yeah,
question.
makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Uttam. I'm reading out the question from Surangama. Is it important to have numbers of customer or money incoming for investment ask? Okay. See, usually early in the stages, we are more interested in knowing, one, how are you getting the customers? Okay. See, because initially, if I'm selling something, might be I'll ping my inner circle, right? And then I'll ping my second inner circle, right? So it's easy sale. I mean, they'll buy it just because they have the. One important thing for me is not the numbers, but how are you able to do it, right? So if you reach out to 10 consumers or customers, are you able to convert one of them, two of them, and how? Right? Those are the questions that I'm interested in. Okay. Now, if you're able to convince me how you're doing that, right? Then you convince me, okay, how can I reach that number to 10x? Okay. So that is what is interesting, right? Because I mean, it's okay if you have 10 customers or 20 or 5, but more importantly is how happy are they? Are they referring others, right? And how are you able to get them? And that is the business model, right? So that is most critical for me. Obviously, traction is helpful. If you have done pilots with 5 schools and they all said, look, I'm signing up with you next year, that's a great information to have, right? Because that means all those 5 who have done pilots are converting. That means if you do 100 pilots, you will at least convert 50 of them, right? So that's my thinking, right? That's how I would think, right? And that's where I would put in money, saying, okay, you go do 100 pilots, this is the money. So then you would get 50 out of it, which will make me more money. You type something more. I represent prepdoor.com, 5-year-old edtech startup providing cloud-based SaaS platform to education industry. Thanks. Okay. All right. Yeah. All of you, I'm happy to connect offline or later. I don't know. I can type my email ID. You can share anything you have on that.
Yeah, sure. I think they can definitely reach out with you.
Okay, sure. Smriti had a question.
Smriti, yeah, Smriti, I was also about to say, Smriti has raised it. Smriti, please go ahead.
Yes, Ajay sir, I'm Smriti, and it was a very inspiring. It is actually a very inspiring presentation so far. The best thing that that caught my eye is, we tell a story and we sell our solution. So this is something really that probably will touch a lot of people. Now, if you could just throw a little bit more light on what kind of a story weaving or a storytelling we should be doing. Is it something like I tell my story, but I'm not, we are in a bit of a dilemma here. See, if I tell my story and it doesn't really touch you, but I do have a good solution, or do I tell a story that you can relate to, but it's not really my true story? So, how do we do the story weaving here?
Okay. Yeah, I think it's a difficult choice, and the question that you asked me, what I would suggest is do a story that would bind the problem and the solution. Okay. If it is personal, it is the best. Okay. Usually, you note that uh, when it is personal, the story comes out much better, right? But most important is, are the problem and the solution being in sync, and can I carry off to the end? So can I suggest that I will grow because of this solution? Okay. So let's say I convince someone about the problem. Let's say I'm talking about taking blood for sugar testing without invasion. Right now, as soon as you tell that, everyone is like, okay, yeah, I know it's a problem, right? Because all of us have seen it somewhere, right? So it is a problem. I agree. I don't have any questions on that, right? And then if you are doing non-intrusive, readings, that is great. So till there, it is fine. Now you tell me about the solution and tell me how it will grow. Because if you tell me, okay, look, I have this $100 device, I'm like, I don't think so. It will sell in India, right? But if you tell me, look, I have this $2 device, yeah, I'm listening, right? So things like that is what is, now I know a person, again, I'm talking a little more health because that's where passion is easier. But I know a person who starts his story, which is a real story. He is doing EKG or ECG monitoring using strips, right? Which you can put on your chest and for 7 days, etc. And it happened that his grandfather expired because they couldn't detect an abnormal heartbeat. So he suggested from where there he got this inspiration to solve this problem. Right? Obviously, there are many others solving the problem, but his story at least makes you okay. Now I'm listening, right? And I have the problem and the solution; those are linked. The problem will be the growth, because as soon as he says, okay, look, it will cost you, so much money, or you have to change every 2 days, whatever. Those are where the concerns come. But if I am hooked with the story for the first two, it's a great starting point.
Right. Thank you, sir.
Sure, Smriti.
Anyone would like to show their pitch decks just to?
If one of you want to show the pitch deck and we can discuss that.
Yeah, because
Actually,
on 30th we'll be having the demo day, so it will be a good, exercise for all of us.
uh, Mr. Ajay Jain, actually, I recently made a 90-second pitch. It was a course actually, not an investor,
Okay.
and that pitch was actually rated as among the top 5. It was a class Ritesh Agarwal's course on NAS Academy. So that
Okay.
was, and of course Ritesh was not doing it; somebody else was doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't have a proper pitch written down, but it's in the form of a presentation. But it's I have done it in the form of a PDF. So this one.
Sure.
Can I read that?
Happy.
Can I 90?
Yeah,
It will
yeah,
take 90
happy.
seconds only.
Yeah, happy to look at it. But let me tell you, all of you, if you have the demo day on 30th,
Yeah.
I would have been ready by the pitch by now. Okay, because it's like writing an essay for an B school, right? It goes through at least 20 revisions.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, so I would strongly suggest, Mr. Prem, you can share it in the meanwhile if you want, if you
Sure.
don't mind.
Already.
I would strongly suggest all of you to do something about the pitch deck if you haven't.
Okay. Yeah. So should I share the PDF file or should
Yes,
I?
please. Yeah, please. Yeah. Because as I said, this whole thing is a lot of soul searching.
It is. Yeah.
If you ask a lot of whys and hows and what, you will understand what I'm saying. See, for me, it's very easy to poke holes in any of the pitch decks. Right? That comes very easy with me. Right now, let's say you're at 60% of it. That's awesome. Right, but that will take a lot of effort. Anyone? Yeah, Smriti. Once Prem, do you have the ability to share? I mean, are you able to share?
Yeah, I'm able to share. Yeah.
Okay. After which Smriti can share. I'm asking if you have permissions or you have any other. Or Smriti, if you are ready, you can share and then Prem can share.
Yeah, she can share. No problem. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm ready, sir. Let me share.
Yeah.
Please.
No problem. No problem.
I can see it. Please go ahead. Next. Okay. 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 Thanks, Smriti. This is a nicely done one, but let me tell you very basic questions I have, right? Which is, how would you really get the market, which is not very clear? What is the competition? And where are you starting? Right? I think the problem is your GTM is not clear. The go-to-market is not clear. While you have a lot of features and you're saying, look, you can do A, B, C, D, which is the one you'll start with? Because, again, as I said, I'm not writing, no one would necessarily easily write a 10 crore check for you to do everything. Right? Now, let's say you get a 50 lakh or a crore check. What will you do with it first? Is the question that's not answered. Okay. See, I can also, let's say, I'll tell you another important point, right? Again, don't get me wrong here, but there was a time 3-4 years ago when everyone spoke about AI and ML. Right? Each pitch deck had AI ML, right? Even companies that were exchanging on the market, if they put AI ML, even if they're selling pizzas, their stock prices went up, right? That's true. So, now in fast forward today, everyone is talking about deeper technologies, right? The problem is, okay, one of the ways we used to invest was we were associated with IIIT, which is one of the leading colleges in the AIML space. Okay. So we used to have professors sitting with us, trying to poke holes into these, people claiming they could do, 99% accuracy over voice, etc. Right. So the thing I learned from there is it's simple to put things on the slide, but it's very difficult to defend it. So try to put things that you can easily defend. Okay, because as much as all of you are aware of the, the tokenization, etc., I'm not as much. Most investors are also, because they keep an eye for all this. Okay, so in fact, it just so happens I'm looking for a blockchain technology financial startup because one of a friend and a close investor is really interested in such a space, right? So I'm saying that it's important for someone to go deeper and ask questions. Otherwise, I can put in a lot of nice slides. Problem is the business sense has to come out. So I hope that's my comment. I think everything else is nicely done. I am just talking about the business depth.
No, that's true, sir. In fact, we definitely have missed out GTM. So this is a good point that you made, and we have to include that in with a lot of clarity and in details also, a bit of details, because that is.
As I said, even if you solve one part of that whole problem you're saying, and solve it correctly or tell me correctly, yeah, I'll be interested. But if you tell me you're solving so many problems, I'm not interested.
Right, I get it, sir. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Prem, are you ready with your pitch?
Actually, I don't have a full presentation as such, but I have
whatever you want to show or something, or anyone else.
Okay, can I actually make a 90-second
please.
readout? Huh? Can I?
Yeah.
Just thank you. I am into EdTech, and the problem that we are looking at addressing is what is the root cause behind India's inability to produce world-class products. The problem lies in how we educate ourselves in science and technology. Let's look at some data. The Global Innovation Index is topped by Switzerland, Sweden, US, Netherlands, Germany, and France. These are the countries where project-based learning is prioritized. And these are the very countries that produce groundbreaking products that we rely on at heavy cost to ourselves. Our tech graduates lack skills to solve problems. We all know that. and they lack the ability to innovate because in the formative years of our education system, we do not introduce our kids to practical skills and knowledge and creative experience needed to innovate. We do this only around the fag end of our 12 plus 4 years of education. When we need a job, we run for gaining skills then for a few months, even after the completion of a professional course like engineering. To address this problem, I want to introduce kids in their formative years to practical knowledge and skills in a spirit of innovation through something like a lab at home. The program conforms to the new education policy of the government and also adopts the best practices from around the world, drawing on proven research. Much of the competition landscape is focused on skilling for jobs or like the upgrad, etc., or hobby courses in coding or robotics by brands like the White Hat Junior or SP Robotics, which normally conduct very objectified programs. They do not really reach out to uh, cross-disciplinary subjects, and these provide very little beyond instant gratification. We stand out, that is, my solution stands out as the only player focused on educating students to innovate in their formative years. Uh, innovation skills in the formative years, that's my USP. To scale up my venture, I want to raise $250,000 in return for 10% equity in the company. The money would be used to build a team and to drive curriculum development and sales. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Prem.
Yes,
That's good. Let me tell you this, right? I think one thing that drives home a point much more than a lot of words is an example. Okay. The West does it very beautifully, right? They actually go deep down to, let's say, if you had a child who was 7 years old and they wanted to know how does a pulley work, right? And let's say you could explain it to them through, I don't know, whatever your do it yourself or devices are, right? So that really drives home the point much more, right? My one of my inputs. The second input is, while this is like a high level vision, right? This is not a pitch. This is a high level vision. Okay, where you're saying, okay, look, I am, like, for example, as I said, right, at Grey Matters, we started this whole thing that, okay, there is a difference of information or not information mismatch between the school leaders and the parents, right? And parents choose affordable private schools based on factors that are not right? So similarly, while your vision is very good, right, and you're saying, look, this is might be one of the reasons, it need not be the only reason, it might be one of the reasons why we are not producing the best in class or whatever, right? Now, my suggestion is to go down to the basics of, or to the depth of, how will you do it? Because all what you've said looks great, right? But since it's not an easy thing to do, we haven't done it so far, right? So how would you do it, at what price point? So what is the target segment, right? Like for example, people can say, oh, look, we are doing adult tinkering labs, right? The government can say, right? On the other hand, I'm sure you heard of someone like Butterfly Fields, right? Or if you haven't heard of them, please look at them, right? So they are doing something very similar, right? And there are players like this in the market. What sets you apart? I didn't understand from your pitch. Okay, because Adult Tinkering Labs also has started with a similar idea in mind, correct? And again, they might be addressing the grassroots level or the government schools, etc. Right? So you will have to first address whom are you addressing. Second is, more importantly, how are you addressing them? Right? And at times it's easy to take this leap of faith. And pardon me here, but I have learned this through my educational, or through my 4 years in the startup. It's easy to correlate things which might not be correlated. Okay. So your leap of faith. So let me tell you, one of the theories says if a person watches English serials, any serials on the TV, their spoken English will improve. Okay. Now we can guess, or we can argue both sides, right? That's how a very big company or a large company is built around that theory. Okay, in the English space. Same way, you are taking a leap of faith, saying, okay, look, if I address the formative years, I will solve the problem during my graduation, which is of saying, look, I'll build the best products. Right now, that's a leap of faith, according to me. Be a little careful there, right? Because I might argue, oh, it's the brain drain that is causing the problem, not this education. Because all the IITians and all the smart people go outside India, right? And hence they are developing products outside India rather than in India, right? So I'm saying what such a statement that you did makes is it takes you away from the main pitch. Now I'm starting to think, oh, is there a correlation between formative years and you know, I let me tell you, I did quite a bit of studies in that space, early childhood, etc. I worked with Dr. Ambedkar University also on that. So be a little careful when you do this, right? Vision wise, it's okay, but pitch wise, it's not okay. It sets me off thinking, right? Anyone who's critical enough will start to analyze that you're joining two things which are not necessarily correlated. Okay, I might say it's just how universities are in India. They're not encouraging enough. They don't have enough research money. Right? So I can give you hundreds of reasons why that is happening. So just my suggestion, but I think overall the vision is great. I would suggest get the how in it. Surangma had,
Yeah, so
as we have tried investment, asked earlier, can share my picture to, okay, yeah, you can share. I
okay,
think we have
thank
5
you.
minutes. Yeah.
Can I,
Thank
in
you
the
very much,
meanwhile,
sir. I hope
actually,
you can hear me.
Yes, please go ahead.
Oh, yeah, sir.
you're telling me about
So,
one company called Butterfly. Sorry,
Butterfly Fields, I'll type it
Butterfly
for you.
Fields. Yeah, no problem.
so basically, what we do again, as I've told you, we are a cloud-based SaaS platform. So, sir, we have started with an assessment platform earlier. Main motto was to serve these tier 2 and tier 3 cities, teachers for the practice and assessment part, actually, because we wanted teachers to focus on teaching, and the practice is also very important portion of a student's preparation for competitive exams,
Okay.
of course. So then what we did, we found this problem in the market, that a strong, a self sufficient assessment platform was not there in the market, right? Where students can prepare with unlimited tests and can see the results and their progress, basically.
Okay.
So earlier we have started with only assessment platform. However, we have found that these teachers, they use different software for payrolls, for attendance, and for like these days even the live lectures are delivered through Zoom or Google Meet. So they were very scattered, like multiple disconnected points in on a
Okay.
single teacher's side. Yeah.
Mhm.
So what we have tried, we have built a all in one kind of product throughout our journey, though started with only an assessment platform. So why? Because again, we thought that how it will help them. Of course, it will be a good user experience for them. The security would be there with a single vendor, right? And of course, they get high return on their investment and everything. And because we provide them white label app, so it will also enhance their brand image in the market. They'll be recognized in their community among their students. So
So this is the school using it.
No, sir. Actually, basically, because we have started with assessment platform, so we have our content database there, more than 5 to 6 lakhs question database with detailed solution, and it is again prepared by subject matter experts. The ex-faculty Akash and Fiji, and they're the IITians themselves. So the every question has detailed solution.
No,
So
who is using it? Just my question.
The coaching industries.
Okay.
However, these days, or say during pandemic, even schools and other educational institutes are using it for assessment, but for other services like live lectures, for video, recorded videos,
Sure.
and study
Surangama, please
material.
go ahead.
Yeah. So basically, sir, we are actually addressing all the major stakeholders in this industry, be it admin, teacher, or be it your student and parents, right? So
Okay.
for admin, we have a complete module like say lead management, application, student and institute management that usually an admin handles. Though these
Let's
are
go
of
ahead.
course secondary services, right, in an institute, but again, these are important services. And these days, everybody look for a digital solution for this as well. And
Okay.
teachers come at core in the industry, like delivering the education to their students and the managing the education or the academics and the overall student performance is in their hands, so this is from the teachers part. This is our web version that the few clicks, and this is the app, how it looks that you are seeing. And if talking about on a student's point of view, basically student is of course receiving education through various medium, through study material, through live lectures, through recorded videos, and then managing it. And then of course for the competitive purposes, they can buy test series and the more practicing stuff from their teachers. Yeah, like this. So this is a little insight into our app, student app, right?
Right.
Yeah. So again, it gives you a detailed solution, performance analysis after you take a test, and even after a live class, you can take a test. And of course, parents who are investing in their child's growth. So they always want to understand how their child is performing, right? And if the teacher is actually using the correct methods. And see, the most of the exams are online now, right? So if a teacher stuck with the pen and paper old module, because a student has to go to a computer lab for taking test right now, so if a parent also want to get sure that some digital platform is there, or some simulation of this actual exam in a practiced way is there or not, so they are concerned about it. That's why a parent login is also given on the app and everything, right? So that's how they get the performance, and they see overall growth of their child, right? They can of course manage the fees, so they have this module and the attendance also. So talking about the product, actually it is highly secured, made under all tech guidelines, like everything is there. Yeah. And these are the basic USP, because we are still focused on our content portion more. The content digitization is provided to the teachers through, again, it's now AI backed. Yeah. And so they can digitize their content within a minute, be it a Word file or a doc file, whatever. And also because we provide our content to them, so even they can create a test on their own within a second. It's so quick.
Okay, good.
I would say. However, to add few more things, it's a white label app. That's not a USP right now, I would say, because there are many players in the market who are providing white label app to this industry. But however, with this type of services, if you add on the brand image, it will give them empowerment, right?
Sure. Okay,
so there are other things, everything at one place. Yeah. However, we have also trying talk2prepgo.com. It ran successful actually. So we are again more into adaptive learning solutions and just improving our digitization and content services further. So So this is actually a little bit more. So maybe I'll just explain it in just one sentence, that we know there are so much in the market even during pandemic, right? And we have seen so much new initiatives during pandemic. So because we have started before that, our approach is very clear. We are gradually moving towards our goal. First, we were only empowering students and teachers on the practice platform, but now it's all in one place. So that's our, you can say, our broad vision, for the coming future for us. However, moving to the next slide, this data might have changed by now, because this is a little old slide, say about a year or so. So the numbers have increased since then. Moving to the next one. Again, so this is the point actually I have asked my question about, because we had tested our product in 17-18. So earlier the clients were limited. However, we have kept the pricing higher. So the revenue was, good earlier. But during pandemic, because of so many players in the market, of course, players increased. But then we faced pricing competition, basically from our competitors like Class Plus and Teachment. Right. Yeah. So that was my question actually earlier, which I have asked.
So see, I think with reference to this and now your question, since you are there in the market for more than 3-4 years, it matters a lot. I assumed you were early stage. That was a mistake, right?
Okay.
Now I'll tell you a few points, Ranga. Who among you is the techie?
Okay, sir. Actually, so sorry. This is our team, sir. Mr. Prasad as mentor, Ankush and Abhishek are tech co-founders, NIT Kurukshetra and IIT Dhanbad, and I am as a CEO handling the non-technical.
So I think the problem here is, and none of you have run tuitions yourself.
No, sir. Actually, the thing is that we all are from tier 2, tier 3 cities.
No, but did you run tuition for yourself?
Sir, I had a little experience in teaching in a college. Yeah.
No, but tuitions at home, right? You're targeting those clients, right? My suggestion is, again, I think you're doing those classic problems, those classic mistakes. You're solving a lot of problems. You can't do that. Try to solve a simple problem, what they really face, right? Because remember, even the best technology comes, right? In India, for example, let's say, the robo who mops the floors, right? Do not work because of various reasons. There's inertia. Remember, education has the highest inertia as among the segments. So it's not easy to make people change their ways. I am sorry to say, but both your co-founders are looking at it from solving a tech problem. It's not a tech problem. Okay, how you sell it is least of my problems. Whether it's a SaaS product or not, that doesn't matter. Okay, it's a web-based product, app or SaaS, I don't care. What is the problem it is solving? It is not very clear. I don't know if it is a very big problem today. You are doing something which is good to have. Okay. But whether it is something that will change, there are only two reasons. The coaching guy will take your tool. One, if they can increase their fees. Okay. Two, if they can increase their students. Three, if they can reduce their time. You should ask these three questions to yourself every time you're adding a feature. You're adding features. For example, you should ask yourself, okay, how much time is the parent really spending on your app?
Right? Actually, sir, Actually, these are the secondary services. The main again is the practicing part, the assessment part.
Yeah. So if it is the assessment part, stick to it, but go deeper into it. For example, I'll tell you, unless you do something more smarter, like read up about item response theory. Okay. Okay. Assessments is a very detailed, involved thing. You can't just do assessments by the questions. It's not like you have 5 lakh questions and that solves the problem. That doesn't.
Yeah, of course.
We were generating questions at 800 rupees per question. Okay. Now that is a difference because the quality of the question, and I knew which student would respond to it in which way.
So isn't that adaptive learning, sir?
No, that's not adaptive learning.
Okay.
Adaptive learning is one step ahead, but see, again, all I'm trying to say is solve one problem, stick to it. Firstly, agree that is the problem. So speak to 100 coaching guys, sit with them. One of the things which, again, I have to hang up soon, but you should read about, the disruption theory. One of the things they did is they sat in an ice cream parlor for days to understand, or McDonald's, I don't remember, for days to understand the behavior of people drinking, what is it? Drinking milkshakes.
Milkshakes at McDonald's.
Milkshakes at McDonald's. That's a very famous case study. Please look at it.
Okay.
You should go and sit with the coaching centers without doing anything to understand what is their problem. Sit with them for 3 days.
Okay. Okay. Yes.
Sit and understand what they do, how they do. Okay, so that you learn what is the real problem. Right now, what you're addressing is not the real problem.
Okay. Okay, sir.
We can connect offline. I think you're solving a problem which is non-technical in nature.
Through maybe we want to impart technology there, right? Maybe that's the thing.
You can't do it easily. Remember, you can't do it easily. Remember, I'm having 10 students at 2,000 rupees. I'm happy. They will come to me because I'm next door.
Yeah.
What are you doing that makes me charge higher, get more students, make my work less? Then talk to me. Otherwise, sorry.
Oh, got your point. Okay. Yeah.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much,
leave.
sir. Actually,
no problem. If you guys have anything, please reach out. Thank you, Karan. I will talk to you later.
Sure, sir.
Thanks
Thank
a
you
lot.
so much, sir, for your time. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks, everyone.
bye.
Thanks a lot.